Hi, thank you for joining us for our Kids First Parenting series, Connecting with Your Child to Build Resilience. My name is Mia Wilson, and I am a child and family therapist and an early childhood consultant. Today you're watching part 6, the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. Our material comes from two of our favorite experts in the childhood social emotional field, Dr. Tina Payne-Bryson and Dr. Dan Siegel. Together, they have co-authored 3 books, the Whole Brain Child, No Drama Discipline, and the Yes Brain. Our goal today is to introduce a couple of concepts, the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. These are terms that Dan and Tina have kind of, terms that they've coined to use in their work to make it really user-friendly for parents. But we're going to talk about these concepts and how they're involved in your child's emotional moments so you can respond effectively during those emotional moments. Once you understand what these are and what's going on in the brain, you're going to understand how these strategies that we're talking about will really work and fit for your child in those emotional moments. Okay, so let's dig in. So the downstairs brain is a really primitive part of our brain that is basically intact from the time that we're born, and it's located in the lower part of our brain, kind of in the middle and kind of closer to the brainstem. It's responsible for very primitive functions that we need and happen just kind of automatically, like blinking and breathing and our heart rate. But there's another piece that ties in with our emotions a little bit more, and that is our instinct to fight, flight, or freeze in moments of distress or danger. So the downstairs brain houses, one of the parts that's in the downstairs brain is the amygdala. You may have heard of that. But so this part of our brain is old and helps us function with our automatic kind of bodily functions, but it also is responsible for keeping us safe. The upstairs brain is this whole part up here, and it houses one part called the prefrontal cortex. This part is not fully developed when we're first born and actually is not fully constructed until our mid-20s. We used to think it was fully constructed by the time we're 18. Kids are going off to college with a fully developed brain, and now we know that it's actually not true. They are going to college with brains that are not fully developed. So the upstairs brain is responsible for higher level functions, things like deducting, problem solving, doing calculations, making good choices. And so, there's a reason why it takes longer to develop. I mean, these are much more advanced skills. We need more life experience to be able to do that. So it's really normal, and I think it's important for us as parents to know that it's really normal for our children to be having these emotional outbursts. They are coming from their downstairs brain a lot. They're getting triggered really easily when someone is mean to them or someone takes their toy. It's really common for them to react with pushing, which is fighting, running away, or having big emotional outbursts. That's part of the downstairs brain. It's important also to know that the downstairs brain and the amygdala, they don't really differentiate between someone calling you a bad name or a bad word, or saying, I don't like you, I won't be your friend anymore, compared to like encountering a bear. For the amygdala and the downstairs brain, it's all distress and it's all an opportunity to get triggered. So children are literally unable to reflect and respond in times of distress because this part of their brain is not fully formed yet. So they react really easily. So we must connect with them to soothe the downstairs brain and be able to access whatever part of the upstairs brain is available to them. We're going to watch a video that is Tina Payne-Bryson talking about the upstairs brain a little bit more and the downstairs brain.
Are these things your kids are good at all the time? The reason they are not is because the part of the brain that does these things is right here. It's called the middle prefrontal cortex. You can think of it as the frontal lobe. In the book, we talk about it as the upstairs brain. We talk about the downstairs brain being the primitive part of the brain where the most basic functions take place. That'd be like the brain stem and the limbic area. And the upstairs brain is the frontal lobe, the cortex, the part of the brain that has perspective and is more sophisticated. This upstairs brain is the very last part of the brain to develop. Does anybody know at what age that part of the brain finishes development? Never? 25, yes. It's mid-20s. And now they're even saying it may be even a little later than 25. Maybe 25 for females. Yeah, never. And you know what? Actually, you're right about never. Because in a way, I mean, at that age, 25-ish, that's about when the brain finishes the construction and the development. But the brain is plastic and changeable throughout our entire lifespan. And I know that's what you were saying. That's right. And that's great news for those of us who have things we want to change about ourselves and our family members. Okay.
So that's a great explanation about the development of the upstairs brain. And just what we want to remember in those emotional moments is that we really want to soothe the downstairs brain and give our children practice using their upstairs brain and downstairs brain, so that will start to wire. Because this part is not fully developed yet, we just want to give it as much practice working and working with the downstairs brain as much as possible. Okay, so we're going to move into some brain-based strategies, and these are different than the typical parenting strategies we use, and that's why these are so helpful and so important. These are all based on what's happening in our brain and in our children's brains, and so they're just way more effective, okay? So when your child has been hijacked by the downstairs brain and is in a really reactive kind of place, we want to do something that's going to shift the emotional state, okay? So we always want to use connect and redirect. But then there are a couple other strategies to use. One is called engage, don't enrage. And this refers to engaging your child's upstairs brain, that higher level thinking part of the brain, the problem solving part of the brain. We really want to engage that part as much as we can in certain situations. This will be really effective. So we don't want to play the because I said so card and just cut off requests and cut off communication with our children. That's going to trigger more distress from the downstairs brain. Here's an example. So if your child has asked if he can go on a sleepover and you're like, nope, not going to work, too many barriers, not going to work. Instead of saying because I said so, which is not going to work, appeal to the upstairs brain and engage it by saying, you know what? It feels like it would be really hard to pull this off, this sleepover that you want to go on. We've got, this issue and that issue, and this makes it really complicated. Think about those problems. See if you can come up with some solutions for those little barriers to this potential sleepover, and get back to me about that. And then we'll decide if that's going to work or not. Wow, how cool is that to be able to engage the upstairs brain instead of enraging the downstairs brain? Okay, the books by Dan and Tina are filled with examples like that. So get their upstairs brain thinking, so it's practicing working with the downstairs brain. Another strategy to try is called move it or lose it. And this refers to moving your body so you don't lose your mind. One of the fastest ways to shift an emotional state in your child is to get them moving. So again, you don't want to dismiss the feelings. You still can connect. You can still validate feelings. But you might say, you know what? We have to go upstairs. Let's pretend to be elephants going up the stairs to get ready for bed, okay? I'll be the mama elephant, you be the baby elephant. Get them moving. Get the balloon out and bop it around the room and get them moving around and just shifting that emotional state like magic. It's pretty cool. Play charades. There have been times when I've just taken my daughter outside for a walk when she's been hysterical and there's just no reasoning with her, of course, because she's in her right brain, and I just get her walking and get her outside, and that just really shifts the emotional state. So there are some strategies that are a little different than integrating the right and left brain, which we talked about in a different segment. Connecting the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain requires some different tools. So one of them is to just be patient, because remember, the upstairs brain is not fully developed yet. it's going to take years for this part to even be fully developed, and it's going to take a long time for these two parts to work together seamlessly. Slowly and deliberately using your senses can be a really fun way to work on this with your child. So this could just be practicing mindfulness. So going for mindful walks when you're outside, listening, just pausing and listening to the sounds. Just say, let's stop and listen to what sounds we can hear right now. And just do that for 30 seconds. Or taste the strawberry and how juicy it is, and move it around on your tongue and just really notice all the different flavors on the different areas of the tongue and the texture. This is being very mindful and slowing down to really use your senses. You can listen to your favorite songs and listen to the instruments or how it makes you feel. Notice that. Take time to take deep breaths. Deep breathing at bedtime or deep breathing before mealtime. A lot of mindfulness can really get these two parts of the brain working because you're using things that relate to the downstairs brain, and you're also using some skills that are very upstairs brain oriented. Doing those together gives your brain practice. Reflecting on other people's feelings. So when the waitress is rushed and a little curt at the restaurant, talking with your children and saying, what do you think could be going on for her? Maybe she's having a bad day. Be the upstairs brain for your child. So when they're having a meltdown and they're in their downstairs brain being very reactive, remember they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. So let that be your mantra. Be the prefrontal cortex. Be the upstairs brain, which means staying calm and problem solving. Schedule breaks during the day. Don't overschedule your kids. Check in with your children's feelings and just slow down. Just slow down. Belly breathe. Play cotton ball games where you're breathing and blowing cotton balls all over the place. Set up some mindful coloring for your children when they get home from school. These are great ways to start connecting the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. The more we practice those skills, the sooner they're going to come online. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions about any of the material that we've talked about today, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the slide. And of course, please check out the resources that are on the slide. And we highly recommend you take a look at Whole Brain Child, No Drama Discipline, and the Yes Brain. Thank you.